Hey guys, it's Mike here at Sasquatch NHL. Thank you for dropping by the channel. First of all, I just want to say happy holidays to everybody out there. Thank you for all the support here on the channel, whether you're listening on your podcast app or watching on YouTube. I do appreciate it. It's great to be able to do this and bring these episodes to you guys. Today I got a special guest, Paul Buxton, stops by to talk about the Coachella Valley Firebirds home opener from Acrisure Arena. Really cool story. Hopefully you can tune in and listen to the whole thing because it's definitely worth it. A lot of great information. So let's get to that right now. And thanks again, you guys. Happy holidays. All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining today's episode. I got a special guest along here, already on screen, Paul Buxton joining us. What's up, Paul? How you doing today?
Good. How's it going? Nice to chat again.
Yeah, you know, we're all getting in the holiday spirit, right? I hear you're out at the coast.
Right. Yeah, Long Beach. My mother-in-law's out here, and it's nice and relaxing, away from kind of the hustle and bustle of Seattle. We got out here before all the ice and snow sort of pummeled the entire state. So glad to at least be in kind of one place and staying warm.
Yeah, we're kind of on like, you know, if the power goes out at this moment here in the Seattle metro. I went out on the sidewalk and almost fell down. So I went right back inside, put my sweatpants on, and I'm going to be pretty much here for the day. But glad to have you along. We're going to talk about the Coachella Valley Firebirds home opener from Acrisure Arena. It just took place last weekend. So we've got the camera rolling here. We got audio rolling. This episode is going to be available on all the platforms. So like over on YouTube, if you're watching the video version, or if you're listening over on your podcast app, just thanks for tuning in. Happy holidays to everyone in advance out there. And if you'd be so kind, go ahead. Always helps if you want to hit that like button or subscribe if you haven't already. Just a little bit of a bonus episode here as we go into the holiday break. So Paul, are you ready for the holidays? Do you have all your shopping done?
No, but that's all right. We're pretty casual when it comes to Christmas and stuff. I really don't ask for anything anymore because of having season tickets for the Kraken. I told my wife, like, that's all the gifts I need, really.
Right.
So, we always have kind of a low key Christmas every year. We like to spend it either at my wife's family's house out here, or next year we're hoping to do San Jose for Christmas. So be our kids' first like Christmas down there. So that's gonna be fun.
Something always cool about palm trees with Christmas lights on them. That's always one of my favorite things, whether it's California. We did a trip to Mexico one year. That was pretty cool too. But thanks again for being here. Excited for the holiday break. Kraken coming into it off of a shootout loss. A little disappointing last night. We'll talk about that in a second. But, last season you joined the show, had a great conversation kind of towards the end of the Kraken inaugural season there. Completely different circumstances. So far this year, we're currently 18, 10, and 4. Like I said, last night didn't go the way we wanted. Last 10, 4, 5, and 1. So better hockey overall. Kind of a tough East Coast road swing there. Offensively, I think they've been a lot better and challenging for second spot in the division. So I don't know, maybe your thoughts on the Kraken so far real quick before we start talking about the Firebirds home opener.
Yeah, I mean, I really like how they've been playing overall this season. You can kind of tell the difference. Just the vibes on the team are different. The additions of Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand especially, I think have really helped sort of bolster the offense. There's more energy, I think, with some of our scoring chances. We've been putting up a lot more of those. Matty Beniers has really kind of come into his own and been a clear, like, future leader of the team, I think.
Amazing.
Pretty incredible to watch it. Yeah, and I think honestly with Shane Wright, I like how we've been patient with him. I know some folks want him to play more and just be thrown in there, but I feel like it's not that simple. And I'd like to. I'm glad that they're taking their time to sort of make sure he has the correct development plan ahead, that we don't just rush him in. I know he can probably play a little bit more. And so after World Juniors, it'll be interesting to kind of see that. So I'm looking kind of forward to what happens in the new year with him. And then also if we can, as a team, keep up kind of the momentum the first half of the season. And whenever we fall into those sort of like losing streaks, like the one we went to the Southeast and didn't do so well, we can kind of just learn from some of the losses there. And then maybe just consistency. So like putting away Vancouver last night, for example, would have been kind of nice. So learning from like, how do we prevent those sort of things from happening, from them getting it back and tying it, like, it'll be fun to see that.
It feels like they have kind of learned from some of those lessons they had to go through last year. Still some bad habits here and there, like you're saying, the consistency and closing games out. It hasn't been as bad this year, but yeah, definitely having their Kraken moments. But like I said, it was a whole different tone and focus last time we talked. We were, more celebrating the fact that we had a new team, a new arena, state-of-the-art facility, a great hockey community that's continuing to build here. But a lot of things to celebrate outside the win-loss record, a year of firsts, right? And like you said, being a season ticket holder, that's definitely, a huge thing for someone like you who's dreamed about it and finally has a team here in Seattle. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, great to have you again on today. The goal of this episode is to help us kind of fill in the blanks on another story of firsts, this time for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Paul, you were lucky enough to be there for the whole thing. Let's talk about that day and experience. Maybe just you could start with your trip down to California.
Yeah. So I'd had this circled on my calendar for a long time. I'm kind of a fan of minor league hockey and just sort of the development of the prospects, their journey through their careers. And the AHL is one of the most important things for development that a player can have. There's a pipeline that they go through, and kind of the type of development they get, the environment they're in, is super important. It's important to the future of the Kraken too, if you think about it. Now that, that first season, where we had a split development with the Charlotte Checkers, sort of behind us. So last season we split with them. We only had maybe half the prospect pipeline filled in at that point. And so, we split with Florida there. And so whenever we had to call players up, it would be, a cross-country flight more often than not.
Yeah.
And so the fact they put the team in Coachella Valley, it's a smart thing for Seattle, because it minimizes the call-up time as much as possible.
Yeah, quick turnaround that way, right?
Yeah, and also all the visiting teams that come into play and all the teams they go and play are in the same region, right? So, think a couple hours bus to go to San Diego or Ontario or Bakersfield, right? Versus, like having maybe the Midwest division's a little bit more spread out. So there are great sort of, and so all that does is maximize the development time, the time spent practicing, which is what kind of the primary purpose of the AHL is. So kind of that it's exciting to see this new team show up. The jerseys that were released, the logos, like the Firebird logo, the palm tree, like all the design of the entire brand was done really well. It was very smartly kind of a juxtaposition of like the Kraken colors. So there was a way that we kept the dark Kraken jersey, and but with the Firebird red and orange, and then you have that little stripe that sort of is the blue stripe that sort of ties back to the Kraken. The same guy, Brian Gundel, who did the logo for the Kraken's or the secondary Kraken, the anchor logo. He's the one who designed the entire identity for the Firebirds. So he sort of took that and sort of made those connections, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, mad props to him for that, because it's a great looking brand.
It kind of has its own, spin to it, own identity, obviously, but like you're saying, very complimentary. The colors work well together. I really love that Firebirds logo too. Really pops.
Yeah, and so all the sort of build up to it, I wanted to go to the first game at the building. I just don't know when it was. And with the arena, originally they were trying to, I think, open it at the beginning of the season, but they weren't able to do that. So the timeline got pushed to December 18th for the first hockey game. And then as you know, the team started mostly on the road. They came up to us, and we had a chance to watch a few games in Seattle. So you had those, there were 2 games at Kraken Iceplex, there was a game at Climate Pledge Arena, and there was a game at Everett. I got to go to the CPA game, and I got to go to the second Kraken Iceplex game.
Okay.
So I got so I was able to get, I was able to see these guys play a little bit, which was really fun. Both those games were really kind of memorable for me anyways, to watch it. Different atmospheres. It's like you have the CPA game was great because it's like like you can see all the Kraken fans who normally go to watch games in Seattle showing up and supporting the prospects, right? So it had sort of a mini Kraken energy in the building, and the sort of it was in the lower bowl, I think, only, but it was pretty well attended, and the energy was great. There's a lot of scoring there. Also, I can't remember the final, but we beat the Abbotsford Canucks, like, I want to say it was like 7-5 or 7-4, some really high scoring game. And then it Cole End? Did he have the opening goal? I think he did. Yeah. If I remember right. And it was a fun atmosphere. I sat behind one of the goals. So I got to see kind of the up close. I don't normally sit behind up close because I like to see the whole thing. So, right. But I wanted to switch it up for one game, and it's fun to do that. Yeah. Tickets were cheaper. Also, I think they really tried to get the price down to get people in there and check it out.
That's something I would just emphasize to viewers and listeners real quick is, whether it's the Kraken or the Silvertips or Thunderbirds, try sitting in different places, figure out, where you like to take the game in for new fans, especially, and even fans that have been watching hockey on TV for years, being in the arena. It's a whole different deal. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, we've kind of enjoyed trying a couple of different spots and plan to keep doing so for the Kraken at least. And Thunderbirds over the years as well. We went to a lot of games, but that's interesting thing to kind of point out real quick there as we go. Yeah. And I would recommend trying even in Kraken, if you go to a lot of Kraken games, just like pick different sections and try out the very top ones, very bottom ones if you can, and just see what you like. I mean, it was nice having the Firebirds in Seattle briefly. But after they sort of packed up and went down, then the focus sort of shifted to this game. And sort of what is the arena going to look like? What are the facilities going to look like for the players? And just sort of because nobody really knew, what to expect too much, besides sort of the renderings we'd been given of the arena. A couple of pictures here and there leaked out, and then, the Fuego Firebird mascot was kind of grabbed the attention of everything real quick. But yeah, you're right. There wasn't a whole lot of, what's the place actually going to look like leading up to it, right? Yeah. And so it's exciting, every time there's some kind of new start in, whether it's the Kraken last season and just imagining that, or this, it was the same sort of idea, right? Yeah. The home opener for the Kraken last year was really exciting. And so this had the same kind of vibe, but, maybe a little different given where it was. So I decided, to definitely go down, and being that, I try to not spend too much time away from home these days, decided to just do a quick 24-hour trip down there. Right. That's right. It was a real fast turnaround for you. I remember you posted that on Twitter too. And I found that the ticket prices were super reasonable to fly down. So in terms of going down, the most convenient thing you can do is book a flight on Alaska Airlines. There's a few flights a day that go from Seattle down to Palm Springs Airport. There might actually also be a Painfield one. I don't remember how often they do that one, but basically you can fly directly into Palm Springs Airport. And from there, if you rent a car or take a Lyft or something, or Uber, it's really only like a 15 or 20 minute drive to the arena. So straight east from the airport, you drive about 10 or 15 minutes or so, and then you get to I-10, which is sort of
skirts the north and east sort of part of Palm Springs. And then jumping on that and going maybe 2 freeway exits down, you're at the arena. Basically, it's off of one of the exits, and the arena's along like the frontage road. It's called Varner, that runs kind of along the freeway. So it's right along. It's very convenient in terms of access from the freeway itself.
I've never actually flown into the Palm Springs airport before. I think it's been SNA or LAX, but that's, I think, quite a bit further away. But usually John Wayne, I think, is where we've flown in.
I think for that region, also Ontario is another option for folks who fly on Southwest. Ontario is about an hour or so east or west of Palm Springs. So another option, if you for some reason Palm Springs is too expensive or something, that's also a possible thing. I stayed at there's maybe 3 or 4 hotels clustered on the same freeway exit. Cook Road is the exit as the arena. So very convenient to stay around there. And if, there are a number of other hotels not too far away either. So it was really set up well for me to be able to make the trip happen on a, pretty affordable budget, I would say.
Well, in the tight timeline too, if you only got like a day, you don't want to be, driving 2 hours from the airport and so on and so forth. That can be a bit of a haul. You're trying to do it quick, but it sounds like lots of options.
It was really pretty easy. So I decided being it's the first day, I want to spend as much time in Palm Desert as I can. So I flew in at like 6 a.m. to, I think we landed at like 9. And from there, I went directly over to the airport and just like arrived at the arena super early. I had a friend of mine I was going to the game with, this guy named Sean, who I've been trading autographs, like hockey autograph cards with for years, back to probably the mid 2000s. He was based in Anaheim and I was based up here. And so we would just trade cards on the internet, and we met a couple times over the years when I go down, visit Southern Cal and go to games and do hockey autograph stuff. And so I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. And I ended up meeting up with him, and we walked around and got to go into the arena itself because, it was so early and I wasn't sure. First of all, I wasn't sure how the parking worked. You apparently pull into the lot, and I wasn't sure if at that time it was paid or not. Yeah. I just had questions about the parking. It wasn't working on my phone for some reason. So I tried to go talk to somebody, and there wasn't really anyone outside. So I went into the arena and thought, okay, maybe there's somebody at the front I can ask about this, but there wasn't. But what was great was that the whole arena was just open, and they, that's cool. The Kraken or the Firebirds were going through their morning skate at the time. So it was kind of a fun moment to just see the arena with no fans in it, and that familiar sort of the fresh hockey noises, right? Empty arena and pucks going against boards and that kind of those ambient noises we all love, right? So I got to walk around and just wander around and check it out, and eventually found somebody to answer my question, and they were nice. So
there's something really satisfying about an empty arena like that when you can go in, just take your time a little bit, look around. There's not as much, rush and people kind of scattering around and a little lower stress at least, right? I like getting to CPA early as well and just kind of wandering a little bit. But so you're in there early. Sorry.
Yeah, and we, just kind of walking around and observing just the arena's configuration, because we don't really see too many pictures of that. We might have seen renderings, but it's different to actually see it in person, the finished product, and all the little areas, the concourses, the restaurants, the merch, where all that stuff is, you don't really see fully when the arena is still being built. It's different that first time to walk around, and especially I felt like it was sort of an unexpected bonus, just that that was even possible. Maybe probably about an hour or so after we had gone through there, they more personnel had arrived and started setting up like all the entry stuff, and so that probably wasn't, if I had arrived later, it might not have happened like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
And did they kick you out, or they're like, who's this guy?
No, they didn't care.
That's good.
Which is kind of fun. So we kind of made our rounds, and eventually when we decided to walk around the building later on, to get a sense, I always like walking around the building and checking that out too, from all the angles, and just seeing, just how does this building operate, and so we got to a point kind of on the other side of the arena, where it was some premium entrance for, I think, suite holders or something. And like, we saw players starting to walk out after morning skate. And so that's where, my favorite place is. So,
right.
So I stopped.
Got the autograph book, right?
Yeah. See what happens. We don't know the lay of the land here yet. So, that was sort of mixed. I mean, it was fun for a while. I actually got Carson Twarynski out there to sign my jersey. So that was like one of the things I was most looking forward to.
Okay. Yeah. That's the picture here.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a jersey he signed.
Where's number 18 for those just listening, right?
Yeah. And we talked quickly about where to sign it, because I wasn't sure if it would fit all on the 8, because the 8 it's kind of weirdly shaped. So we decided the 1 is probably the best, the easiest number to sign it on. So,
and just real quick, Paul, with the zoomed in shot here, you can really see, like the edges of the lettering and the numbering, specifically the kind of brighter yellow, and then the orange, and then that transitions into that darker red. It just really makes the numbers pop off the jersey, easier for the fans to see, the broadcasters, just those little details when you get a jersey and you see it up close. I always try to not judge a sweater or a jersey until I see them in person. We talk about this with the reverse retros a lot, but really a nice looking jersey. Pretty cool to get it signed too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a thrill. And, just my history with Carson Twarynski really briefly is I, was able, when the expansion draft happened for Seattle, I was a fan who had this unreal privilege of picking him on the show. So basically announcing, the pick for the Flyers. So that's the context for why I like Twarynski so much. So he's my new favorite kind of player on this team, especially. So, but there's more to that Twarynski thing later. But
okay.
So we got a couple autographs out there, and I got like Jesper Froden and a few other people, and it was just hanging out. But apparently, we didn't realize this, being a new building, that I guess security doesn't want any like public access around that area when it's not game day, right? So so we couldn't hang out there very long, but I at least got a couple things signed, which is a plus. So that's where we're still figuring out, with a new building, these are things we have to figure out, where everything is and what the boundaries are. So that's all right. I never take it personally or anything if for some reason that's not possible. So, we said, all right, that's cool. We'll just go hang out a little more and stuff. So we went to lunch at In-N-Out Burger, of course, down the road, just a couple blocks away. As a Californian transplant, that's sort of a thing I always check off.
Did you see? I think DJ Trunks ran that poll on Twitter of what the best burger was. I mean, big debate there. Opinions on, I'm used to In-N-Out, but some folks don't like the fries, for example. It's a little bit different. And then others might just, like their own regional burger more. I tend to think In-N-Out, for example, In-N-Out and Dick's are a totally different category. So I don't like comparing them. So they're two different levels of service. I mean, Dick's is great, quick serve, 1 a.m. burgers. And it's great to have after or before a Kraken game. So you can always sort of count on them. And then In-N-Out is kind of, I mean, the burger's a little bit different, I feel like. More options, but, takes a little longer. So yeah, I enjoyed In-N-Out quite a bit. We sat there and Sean and I talked about just autograph stories for the whole time, just catching up and Yeah.
Like that. So
it's always good to kind of, see an old friend and catch up and in a whole different context and place in life and things like that, right?
Yeah. And for all you Jersey fans who love minor league sweaters, he was wearing a Long Beach Ice Dogs IHL jersey, which you really don't see anymore, but that's where he was from originally.
Okay.
And so, as the day went on, he got a lot of random, props from other fans about that jersey. Like, you don't see that one much anymore. So that was kind of fun to see that.
Maybe do you have a picture of that one? Maybe I'll put that on.
I can send it over.
Okay.
There's a picture of him with the jersey being signed by somebody that we run into randomly at the arena. That is kind of interesting, but
so we'll put that. We'll put it on screen right now in the broadcast.
Yeah, right here.
There it is, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, and like we ended up going back. There was a fan fest at 2:00, and the game started at 6. And so we decided to go and check it out, and we went and hung out again at the front of the arena. They had a player red carpet, so kind of like some teams do this at the beginning of their season, of their home opener, where players sort of high five the fans and sign and kind of do stuff with the fans on their way in for the first game.
Yeah, that's great.
So we weren't sure what to expect, if this was going to be, all the players would just hang out forever, or I've also seen ones where the players just sort of run through as a whole team, kind of in a giant pack. So
yeah,
it ended up being mostly the players running through.
Okay.
And the challenge for at least Sean and I was that the players, nobody really wanted their autographs on the red carpet. It was more just fans high-fiving. And because of that, the players just sort of saw that and were like, oh, okay, they just want that. And they just ran through, and we were near the end. And so they were already going 10 miles an hour or whatever, running through.
Right.
And so it was hard to stop them. And after a while, I just let them go, because it was it was tough to slow them down.
So you got some high fives at least, right?
Got some high fives. We got to get a couple guys, like Alex True signed one of my Kraken cards, which was kind of fun.
Oh, cool.
It was
history
fun
with the Sharks, of course, there too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was exciting to see just the event itself. The red carpet was pretty full. So good to see all the support from the fans there. Showed up, 2 hours early to see that. And what else? I mean, just chatting with fans there, and seeing a couple familiar faces. So the Emerald City hockey crew was down there.
Right.
So Dylan and Jen, the photographer, and Angela were down there. So it was fun to see familiar faces there too. And then talking with the just Firebird fans down there was kind of fun. We got to sort of wander around a little around their outside concourse. So what's interesting about Acrisure Arena, being in the desert, is they have a lot more opportunity to sort of open up their space. So during the game, they actually, in addition to the inner concourse that they have inside the arena, there's a part of the concourse that's actually completely outdoors.
Cool.
So you can go outside, and there's an area that's kind of fenced off that is an extension of it. And they have concessions out there. They have Shaq's Big Chicken outside.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, they had that there. They had a couple other, I can't remember the other, they have a couple other concession options that were entirely outside. So for folks who want to step out and get fresh air, it was, during the day there, in contrast to where we are now, it was 65 and sunny down there. And
perfect.
And so, in the evenings it cools down, but it's nice to step out, and it'll be, nice 50-degree little outdoor concourse. So before the game, though, before the doors open, they let fans kind of wander through that outdoor area and check it out. So it's kind of fun to see that. And as I we were walking through there, I ran into Carson Twarynski's dad. And we, he kind of recognized me, and, we we got to actually meet for the first time, and he was excited to be at the game. And, you know, they had driven from Calgary all the way down there and spent a whole trip down there watching Carson play, and then, you know, open in new arena opening and stuff like that. So
yeah.
So it's cool to, you know, to finally just chat with him about everything. I mean, the whole connection, and being a fan of his and stuff like that. So, and, you know, he mentioned he was sitting they were sitting one section away from me. So that would kind of be important later. So yeah. The whole build up to it was exciting to see so many fans. When the arena opened, you know, 90 minutes before, it was already packed.
That's great.
It was, there's a lot of great energy there, and can tell there are a lot of hockey fans down there, like probably snowbirds, but also just a lot of local interest. For them, this is their first team in the desert that's professional. That's in a long time. And so I think that excitement, there's that excitement of, we have our own team. And then for other things, for this arena, they get big name events there now. Whereas before, for some of these, for example, they had Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle open the arena a few days before that game as the first event. That's a pretty big ticket right there. That sort of ticket was something they would previously have to drive to LA for, maybe, or, you know, Anaheim or something. Yeah. So that's a big deal for the Valley there, that they are able to see those sort of events.
And that's the type of, you know, the connection that OVG brings to the table, right? They've got just a depth of, and no pun intended, but a depth of connections and things that they can go to you know, bring to the facilities that they're building. So it's pretty awesome, like you're saying, for the community down there.
I think they, as with every arena, that's not a perfect opening sometimes. And I think so when that concert happened, I was talking to some folks who went to it, and you know, they had a lot of trouble with the traffic flow.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of backup and a lot of sort of issues getting into the lot. And there was also another lot that they had a kind of an overflow parking, and they were running shuttle buses back and forth. Gotcha. But it just, with all the traffic backed up and everything, it was really tough. It wasn't, I guess, set up optimally. So folks
sometimes with traffic flow, like, they think it's going to do one thing, and then it ends up people do a whole different thing. You know, I mean, like you deal with software and things like that. Users always make the experience different than what we expect, right?
Yeah, you never know. Users, you can plan ahead as much and create test plans, but at the end of the day, you know, sometimes there's some edge case that turns out to be not so much an edge case and more, you know, typical user behavior.
I think I'm generally the edge case, Paul. It's usually my fault. So yeah.
Yeah. And so I heard about some of that. After reading about that, I wanted to make sure to pay attention to the parking, and the lot that's right next to the arena is really convenient, but the parking's $25. Kind of pricey for the AHL, especially given how isolated the arena is. Like, there's no other real option. There's no like street parking or anything near it, right? So you either pay $25, or there's that free lot that they still use. That you can park there and then get on there's shuttle buses running every few minutes or so that will take you a 5-minute drive away. So those are your sort of parking options. You can also, if you're staying in nearby at the hotels, or don't want to deal with the car and save some money, you can also Lyft. And they have a whole rideshare area,
drop-off zone
where the cars can do that. So there's really no public transit in Palm Springs area, so there's not really a bus or anything else like that. So those are your sort of options to get to the arena. It was relatively, like, with a car, it was pretty easy to get there. Especially we got there super early, so we never have to worry about it, I guess. But yeah, it was fun. So it was fun to see sort of when the doors open, the excitement. We got in there, and you know, the first thing I usually do at Kraken games is get like some kind of game puck or matchup, something to commemorate the game, and they didn't have pucks available for this game particularly, but they did have a shirt. So I have the inaugural. It's hard to see. Maybe
there we go.
There it is. It has a date on it.
There we go.
Yeah, home opener. Do this really very
established
slowly.
2022, December 18th.
Very bottom of the crest, there's the date also. So it's kind of cool to at least have something from the game.
I like the hockey sticks, crossing each other there in the background of the logo. That's a pretty nice looking shirt.
Another fun part, this is where it got really fun, was Grant Fuhr is retired to Palm Springs, and which is like a golf course there. The team has brought him in to kind of be an ambassador of sorts, I think, and also for this particular game, it was televised, and they're going to be televising a few of the games locally there, and they have him as the TV analyst.
Cool.
So, I mean, this franchise is just like knocking it out of the park when it comes to, bringing people on board with some clout. I mean,
just a Stanley Cup winner on the analysis side of things.
Yeah.
Can't hurt, right?
It's incredible. So we're walking around, and at the far end of the arena, I think from this picture that I have behind me, it might be over here. They had a sort of studio broadcast set up, kind of like at the Kraken games where Allison, Lucan, and whoever else, Ross, they're set up on that main concourse, behind one of the goals. They had a similar thing at Coachella Valley set up there. So we saw that kind of getting set up. That was kind of exciting to see that. Warm-up time, it was fun to go down on the glass. I made a sign that said Seattle, and then the airplane emoji, and then PSP.
Okay, so here's the other picture for the viewers. Listeners will kind of describe to you here.
Yeah, that picture was before the game, but I would end up taking that picture inside. I might actually have a picture of me on the glass with it there, but.
And you got the Kraken hat on, so you're covering all angles.
Yeah, covering all the angles. I wanted to represent the Kraken too. And so it was fun to kind of see them for the first warm up is always kind of fun. The first time they skate out onto a new sheet of ice. I had that sort of feeling like last year, the first few times it happened, like the Spokane game, the Vegas game, and then for CPA, every one of those warm ups was kind of significant. And so this is yet another one of those, so it was fun to watch them in that warm up, and just to get more of a sense of the building. Where I was waiting down there, there's sort of a side, it's almost like a tunnel club suite or something, but it's just there's a lounge, like a suite lounge down there. I can't remember the name of it, but it had a really fancy name, but so they have these sort of upscale amenities at that level too.
That's cool. It's kind of tucked into the arena in different spots.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple fans who had access to that, and they said it was pretty awesome. So that's another, I guess, point about the arena is that OVG has built like a mini, almost like say a mini Climate Pledge Arena experience into some of these bits of the arena. They have a couple of bars that are sort of on the corners of the arena. The picture I took here is from the vantage point from one of those bars. There's a standing room area where you can you have a great view of the rink. So that's where I took that picture. And then they have kind of on one of the sidelines of the arena, I think the side behind the benches, like over here and this up here, there's kind of a restaurant and lounge sort of area directly attached to the sections, kind of like in CPA, you have like the Symetra and I think the Wafed, the club areas, where the whole concourse wraps around it. So at this arena, they have that on one side. But the difference is it's open to all fans. They just let anybody go in there and can use those concessions. So as we walked around, I started seeing all these little tiny sort of influences that our arena has had on the design of this one. There were also bar seats around the entire arena's the top of the bowl. So they took that concept and also put it into Acrisure Arena.
Yeah, and actually, you're hitting a couple of the things on my list here, so this is good. Just now, let's keep rolling. I love it. Actually, I was going to ask you too, though, before you get too far. I also kind of want to talk about just the experience factor for the crowd that's attending the games there. Is it a hockey educated crowd? Is it completely new people to hockey, or maybe some etiquette things here and there like we've dealt with in Seattle, but maybe kind of weave that in as we go here. I was just kind of curious about that element in the viewing angles and things like that, but this is really great information.
Yeah, I think that was sort of the next thing, like when the lights go down and it's time for the pregame show, the fans had a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. I felt like there were a mix of new fans, but also quite a few transplants, like the snowbird effect. I noticed it. Demographically, I noticed it was an older crowd. Being in Palms, the Coachella area, I wasn't too surprised by that. And it seemed like those fans kind of have, quite a few of them have maybe some hockey knowledge already. And then there was a mix of that plus fans who were definitely excited and eager to sort of jump on board and learn about hockey also. I only saw a few instances throughout the game of the sort of etiquette stuff. I felt like it was actually pretty good. The ushers were for a new building, doing I would say a decent job, at least in our sections where we were, of having the sign out and letting fans know they have to wait until a stoppage to come down. So that was a plus to see that. And definitely, I was actually pretty satisfied with how that sort of thing went.
I was gonna say, and as we've seen kind of for the Kraken, right, like the talent on the ice is obviously evolving, already showing big improvements this year and paying off. The in-game experience at Climate Pledge Arena has just continued to evolve. Do you see the Firebirds organization kind of taking a similar route? Like you said, there's always going to be those growing pains and the first night opening blunders or whatever you want to call them, but it's really cool to hear that the elements that they've kind of sprinkled into that arena, that stylistic approach to, the architecture and the spaces and things like that. But, do you see them kind of taking a similar route with the Firebirds to the overall product, on the ice, in the arena, et cetera?
Yeah, I think they're taking, I think they learned from last season with Kraken, just like some of the fan things. I think they also want a unique experience for the fans that's really theirs. The arena has its own sort of, Palm Springs vibe to it. Some of the elements of the design of the arena inside are kind of like classic looking. They have kind of a, mid-century classic sort of maybe vibe. And they're a few things that they did I thought were really cool locally was their pregame entertainment. How sometimes we have bands at CPA. They had a mariachi band
cool,
performing a few different things, and that was kind of cool. But the best moment of that for them, besides them playing the national anthem on their on the horns, they started playing I think Johnny Cash Ring of Fire is going to be their theme song.
Perfect.
And then for Palm Springs, that's perfect. It's a classic song. Palm Springs is has a old school entertainment vibe to it that's pretty unique. Like the roads are named after Bob Hope and Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah,
you have that sort of vibe to it. So having a song like that is perfect. And during one of the timeouts, that mariachi band played the first bit of that like that.
Okay,
that was nice. A perfect sort of a perfect match that they did. And then also, this is kind of one of these puns that you're going to hate, but they're trying to make the I guess the nickname the Rink of Fire instead of Ring of Fire.
Okay. I kind of like puns, Paul. I'll be honest. Yeah.
So they projected that around the entire ribbon, Rink of Fire, and when the fans this is during a TV timeout. They start playing the song, and then puck drops, and the music stops, but fans were still singing like "Rink of Fire." So that might be their sing along.
Kind of interesting, maybe they treat this a little bit like a sandbox, or kind of a testing area for things that they eventually want to use at Climate Pledge Arena. That's one way to look at it, just from the arena experience, the in-game experience, things like that. But also complementing the development of the players on the ice and what they're going to expect as they try to earn roster spot with the big club. And as players improve or maybe regress, they have to be sent back down. So that can be pretty jarring for a young guy going between two different environments entirely. But maybe they're trying to weave some of those things together so that this transition for these younger guys can be a little more smooth, right?
Yeah, exactly. The setup of, I think, the facilities, I think, really helps the development. This is one of the few AHL arenas with a practice rink attached to it. And the facilities are shared. Other AHL arena franchises have a problem of finding ice sometimes. So they'll end up practicing at a rink on the other side of town, maybe that might not be very new. So, for some of those AHL teams, it might be a bit of a struggle sometimes to have that, where with the Firebirds, it's natural. It's like there for them, they have priority on ice. They can share the same facilities, the same locker room as a game, and that kind of, those sort of things that seem like maybe little things, but have a massive effect on just their day-to-day development. So it's
even something simple like where the guy's living, and proximity to the practice rink, like you're talking about. It's big stuff for a younger guy trying to find his career path in a professional league, right?
Yeah, I think it's set up pretty well. The whole game was sort of like, when there wasn't hockey going on, the intermissions were just sort of a blur because there's so much was happening. The first intermission, we went over to the broadcast area, and during a break, I got Grant Fuhr to sign a couple cards. So it's fun and chat with him.
This is the cards you sent over, right?
Yeah. So
I see Grant Fuhr on there.
Yeah, so Grant Fuhr's on there. I got a couple cards from like some of my favorite mid-90s card sets. Like I loved the mid-90s Score, for example, because it was so cheap as a kid. You could buy a pack of 12 cards for $1 or something. And, the cards are today not worth anything. They're practically, it's the junk wax era is what we call it. But, but the designs of the cards back then, I really loved them, and sort of they're an inspiration for, the card design work I do today on the side. So, love getting those cards signed. And my buddy got a couple things signed as well. And, that was fun. I also saw Troy Bodie, who's I think the director of hockey down there, former Kelowna Rocket in the Western Hockey League, and then played for the Anaheim Ducks briefly. But he's down there, doing some pretty important work. Firebirds also got a card or two signed by him, and chatted with him for a while. And then this is the one that's super random.
I've been waiting to hear about this one.
Yeah. So I posted when I first got my Firebirds jersey in the mail in Seattle, I posted a picture of it and on Twitter, and this was the first look that a lot of fans had at this thing, so it got sent around a little. And I randomly got, I guess, mentioned by this guy named Joe Siders. And I was like, okay, the name's a little familiar. Like, he has a check mark. I wonder who this is. Right. And I clicked on it. He's the drummer for a band called the New Pornographers.
I know that band.
They're an indie rock band. They're based in Vancouver, but I've been a huge fan of that band for forever. Since they sort of became somewhat well known. They're not like a band that cracks the Billboard, but they put out really solid music every time they have an album, and they're a great band to watch live. And so he had recently taken over for the longtime drummer, so he was sort of the new drummer for them. I still thought it was incredible that I'm a friggin' rock musician. It's like seeing this. Not only that, he apparently lives down there and has season tickets. So,
oh, cool.
So I traded a couple of, I guess, the tweets and stuff with him, and then the day before, I sort of sent him a DM and just said, hey, I'm going to be at the game, and he had just been sort of recovering from COVID, so I wasn't even sure if he was going to be there. Yeah. But sure enough, right before the game started, I got a message back from him saying like, oh yeah, I'm over in this section, and come say hi or whatever. So I went down there and was just like, was excited to meet somebody like that, who also, seemingly random, but he lives down there and he really is taking to this team. And so it was kind of interesting to chat with him about that. And, he's excited to have the team in town. So he had his Firebirds jersey. He was all decked out. So he posted an Instagram, picture with him with the jersey. So he's like promoting it for like just on his own account. It's kind of cool.
It just seems like hockey always pulls a pretty diverse set of fans. I mean, I know that hockey has its problems, just like a lot of sports do, and hopefully things will continue to improve culturally in the sport. But I do find when I go to games, I always run into different people, different backgrounds, and I think it's great. This is a really cool story. Maybe I'll leave a link to their latest album in the description or something like that.
I just thought that was cool. So it's of a band that I actually am a legit fan of. So
yeah, that's really cool. Well, and drummers are always kind of incognito. You don't really, unless they're like big mega star drummer, you don't really know who they are or what they look like because they're behind the drum set and everything like that. But this is great. So I just want to kind of tick down my little list here of arena, kind of quick questions, maybe what pops to your front of your brain real fast here. And then I've got a couple of rapid fire holiday questions for you here as we get kind of towards the end of the stream a little bit. But this has been great. A lot of great information, Paul. Anything else that pops into your head as we go here into the final stanza, I like to call it, just blurt it out and we will make sure we cover it. First thing here, though, I had obviously at the top of my list, and we talked about it a little bit already, food selection at Acrisure Arena. What was kind of, soup du jour from your eyes?
Well, I kind of honestly didn't pay attention because there's so much going on.
It's hard those first times when you go into an arena, like you said, it's just a blur, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had a good selection of stuff. I think that outdoor, I think for a lot of fans, I would recommend trying to do I didn't get the chance to do the outdoor thing, so busy just running around, but I would say go check that outdoor thing out during a game. That's where the big chicken is. They had a barbecue thing out there. I ended up having I think it was a barbecue inside that was good. But I ate it so quickly, I don't remember. And then they have, again, for drinks, I would check out those two bar areas that are kind of on the corners of the arena because you get a unique, they're pretty big spaces. And so the bars themselves seem like they have a lot of selection, and they have, I can't remember what it is exactly, but there's a cocktail brand called, I think it's Buzzbox or something, and they have a Firebirds themed cocktail drink. I can't remember the name of it, but they have, it's even got its own, it even has its own packaging.
Oh, cool.
So they had done some kind of partnership to make their own sort of signature cocktail. So it's kind of cool. If you are into that kind of thing, I would probably check that out.
Food and drinks are at the top of my list.
I would say that. I think they've done pretty well for this selection. The prices are along the lines of Climate Pledge in terms of beers are like $15 or something, and so that's not different just because it's the minors in this arena, because of the level of what they built there is kind of more to the NHL standards in some ways.
Just kind of the way it is, right? Just food and drink in general is going to cost you a pretty penny. Just be prepared and budget for it, I guess. But maybe what was kind of the most popular merchandise item you saw? And do they have like a team store or just smaller kiosks?
I think they had kiosks. They also had a big one outside, kind of like at, the west and east ends of CPA. They have those ones set up. So they had one like that on the main concourse. The main outdoor plaza, they had one of those before the game. I would say there was one item the shirts were popular. People were picking up jerseys and other hats and shirts and that kind of thing. The one thing I was looking for that I could not find was the Fuego, the Fuego stuffed plush toy.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to get one of those for my kid. And I saw them in the morning when I was walking around. I swear that I saw a kiosk that had a bunch of them in there under the case. And so I thought, okay, cool. I'm going to go back over there and try and get one of those. And so unfortunately, by the time I got in, and I didn't know maybe that they moved them or something, but they were gone. I saw a fan walking through the arena with one, and I've stopped them and tried to, ask, where'd you get that? And they're like, oh, I won it in the thing outside. So it didn't really count. So it's a mystery. I have to figure out where to get one of those Fuegos because my kid has a Bowie one and he loves it. So
yeah, you got to have both, right?
Yeah, having both of them, you can play with them and stuff. So it'd be kind of cool to get that one eventually. And yeah, I was happy to get the shirt. That was something with the date on it, the priority for that game. For sure.
Definitely commemorates it. It's a really cool shirt. For those listening again, maybe jump over to YouTube or over on Twitter too. Paul, if you want to post some of that stuff, that'd be great. I'll try to tag you in a post after this once we put the episode out. But couple other ones here on the list of questions that I had. How about the seats? Are they comfortable, roomy? How is that?
Yeah, the seats are kind of typical arena seats. I think some of the lower, the ones closer to the benches, I think might be more plush. Yeah. The one thing I really think they did well was there is plenty of leg room, at least in the section I was in section 120, which faces the benches on the other side. It's the center section, and plenty of room for legs. I almost didn't have to get up when fans were going by if they had to leave. Mm-hmm. So I felt they really added space, but also the didn't really affect the sight lines very much. Right. Whereas, if you have that sort of more space, that also means it's shallower maybe. And I kind of noticed that the bowl was maybe a little bit shallower, but I still thought there was good sight lines around. The corners, one of the corners on the opposite end from the stage area of the stage end, those corners are flush with the rink, so kind of what you would expect. But the other end where it can be retracted for concerts, that end is more squared off in terms of the seats. So in terms of watching the game on that end, it might be a little bit maybe weird or something, but not too much. So just something to consider. I think you can kind of see it in the picture here. Over this way, there's this area right here. There are tunnels and stuff there instead of the seat, being the seats being sort of there.
That's probably where the Zamboni comes out and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the entrance to those club level areas, so. Yeah, that was. I'd say that the arena is built really well to watch the game, and there's a whole suite level above, and so. The other, I guess, if there's time, the other thing is I couldn't get up there, and I knew that the Kraken had there are people from the Kraken at the game, right? And where we were sitting in our section was where Tim Leiweke came down and made an announcement during a break, and so he put the camera on, and we're over here, barely off the frame of the camera, and.
This was the other picture you sent, right?
Yes. So, that's the beginning of it. So Tim Leiweke came down and made an address to the crowd, thanking them. And Todd Leiweke did the same thing. And then Ron Francis, Irving Azoff, who's the director of co-founder of OBG and a massive, and a heavy hitter in entertainment. He came down with Ron Francis right next to our seat. Mm-hmm. And he started trying to talk, but the mic that they were using for Ron Francis was really messed up and didn't work. And so they just went back up to the top of the section, and I was like, oh my, like that's awesome. He's probably hanging out there. I didn't expect to see him. And so my friend and I kind of went back up, and that's where I got this Ron Francis card signed, the top of that concourse there. Kind of a happy accident. Didn't expect to, see him around. So that's kind of a bonus. So I can thank I think the bad mic gets an assist on that one.
Broken microphone for the win. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Ron Francis can be kind of hard to track down sometimes for that type of stuff. So that's great. Sure.
The highlight by far for me in the entire evening was not only meeting Carson's parents, Carson Twarynski's parents, but I talked with them for a good amount of the second intermission. They actually, and this is totally unexpected, unprompted or anything. They said after the game, meet us outside our section, and we'll bring you down to meet Carson. So,
oh, cool.
So it's incredible. It just goes to show what a great family they are. Right? I was like, are you sure? I don't have one of those, things. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. So, so after the game, that was my post game. So we went down a set of stairs and under the arena. Again, it's adjacent to the practice rink. So they have like a little family room in there, like a hospitality little thing in there. And so, the players' families, wives, girlfriends were all in there of the people who were present there. Got to chat with some of the other hockey parents, and then some of the players showed up and chatted and that kind of thing. And so I got to really talk to the Twarynski family and Carson for quite a while, which I think is probably the most special sort of memory from this entire trip. That's again not something that I would have ever expected to happen. To be able to be underneath the arena on a first day, seeing it firsthand. On the way out, Carson was like, "Hey, you want to see the facilities? Take you through the locker room and all that." So they again got to see the inside of the locker room, and so I got a firsthand sense of how they're set up down there, and they have a great setup. And he was saying all sorts of great things about it.
So, because after all, you want it to be a place where these guys want to be, right? Yeah. Like obviously a new facility is going to be sparkly and all that, but I would imagine some of the AHL facilities aren't as nice and maybe not the greatest locker rooms and places to be. So it's probably really exciting for them to share that with people and cool for you to take in while you were there. It's pretty awesome. It
was cool to see it. And they have a workout, pretty solid gym sort of workout room. The equipment manager, or I think it was a strength guy, was in there. Got to chat with him for a sec about kind of the setup they have. And then I was getting a sense for more of it that it was really sort of top tier in the American Hockey League for kind of the kind of room that they have. So it was incredible to see that. Totally unexpected.
Which, and organizationally, this is huge, right? Creating a place where players want to be younger players as they develop and hopefully become, Seattle Kraken professionals in the NHL. Really cool stuff. Huge credit to the OVG group. The organization top to bottom has done a great job with the Kraken and now with the Firebirds. It's pretty exciting stuff that we've got that, kind of in our back pocket as the Kraken community builds and stuff to look forward to in the future. It just sounds like it was a really, really memorable and great experience for you, Paul.
Pretty incredible. And I would highly recommend going and checking a game out there if you can. It's not only because of the weather and all the other positives about, the going down there to begin with, but they also have this great arena, and the team itself right now has actually a legit chance to go far. There's some leaders at that level too. And then having Dan Bilesman as a head coach is just insane for the AHL. Right. That's the other thing too. They went out and found somebody who has a record of winning a Stanley Cup, maybe, right? But he's has a good track record of developing prospects. So that's another thing I was excited about. So there's so many great reasons to go see them.
So right now, 16-6-3 in the Pacific Division there. Coachella Valley Firebirds, third place right now. And like you said, a really good shot at doing well this season in the AHL in their new, sparkly arena, Acrisure Arena. Really cool story cool place. It's got me excited. I want to go down there now. I got to figure out some time. We are actually going to be in California, I think late January or February. So maybe I'll have to sneak over there and try to catch a game. Would have been cool if, the whole Shane Wright timing would have worked out while he was down there, but just a little bit outside that window, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think one thing to note for Kraken season ticket holders, they have a deal somehow, I think, where certain Coachella Valley games, there are a set of games where if you're a Kraken season ticket holder, you basically can claim free tickets.
Right.
So you might want to look in your schedule and see if perhaps I think there's a February 3rd and 4th game that weekend that might have that offer there. So that's another incentive for folks from Seattle who want to come down and check it out. Yeah,
definitely a good reminder. I'll go back. I know there's an email for that too in my inbox. I need to go revisit that. So yeah, thanks for the reminder there. So thanks again, Paul. This has been awesome taking this whole story in. I do want to hit you with a few holiday themed rapid questions here to kind of, close out the stream and send you on your way. And I know there's probably a lot of good family time ahead for you here over the weekend and into the Christmas holiday, whatever you celebrate on, you and the viewers, really hoping you all have a good, happy holiday. So let's do these real quick. I always like to finish the stream like this. Okay. So are you ready?
Go for it.
Have you ever regifted a present?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
We've all done it.
Yeah, but definitely.
What holiday song gets stuck in your head the most?
Unfortunately, it's the Mariah Carey one. I feel like it's overplayed quite a bit, but the other one I love is I Wish It Was Christmas Today. It was a jingle on Saturday Night Live that a few of the cast members did, but Julian Casablanca from The Strokes did an amazing cover song of it, and now it's like, in a crazy way, it's like a modern holiday classic. So I really like that one. That gets stuck in my head pretty easily.
There's one, I don't know if you're familiar with the band The Shins, but they did a couple of Christmas songs too, are pretty good. But
along with the new Pornographers, they're one of my favorite bands ever. So yeah, definitely like those.
Okay, if you had to live in a holiday movie, which movie would you choose?
Oh man, favorite holiday movie. Just because I'm crazy, maybe Home Alone.
All right, I was wondering.
Like constantly thwarting bad guys or something. That or I don't know. I'm not sure. That's
a good one.
Yeah, well, just for fun, I'll say that.
Yeah. What is your favorite winter beverage?
Favorite winter beverage? I'm not really into eggnog too much. I would say like a sort of a nice hearty like winter like stout of some kind of higher alcohol percentage, maybe like a 10%, like a Great Notion stout that's got like some sort of like flavor to it. For some like they're probably, Great Notion is probably in Northwest, probably one of the better breweries that does those. So something like that, something with like a toasty sort of flavor to it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that sounds good. Now I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah.
Okay, two more. What was the strangest or worst holiday gift you ever received?
Oh, man. I have no strangest holiday gift. I don't know. Sometimes, what's funny? It's not maybe strange, but some people it is. But my mother-in-law always gets me a 12-pack of blue Sharpies every year. So she keeps me fueled for my hobby.
Yeah, I think that definitely qualifies.
Yeah.
Okay, so this will be the last one here. If you had to get the same gift for Christmas or holiday or whatever you celebrate, same gift, what would it be?
Same gift every year.
For the rest of your life.
Same gift every year. I don't know. Can I trade gifts for like Kraken getting wins or something? Maybe, yeah. Something like that.
Nice. Yeah.
Some kind of exchange.
Kraken playoff berth every year?
I think playoff berth would be what I want every year.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
All right. This has been great, Paul. Thanks for playing along here at the end. And thanks again for sharing your story here about the Coachella Valley Firebirds home opener, Acrisure Arena. Some really great pictures. Again, for those just listening, if you want to check out the YouTube stream as well, go follow Paul on Twitter. I'll leave links down in the description for everything. Paul, thanks again. I hope you have a happy holiday. Any last shout outs here before we sign out?
I don't know. I guess thanks again for, I just a shout out to the Twarynskis who basically made that entire trip even more incredible. And, you know, to everyone down there at OVG and Acrisure, keep up the good work. Yeah, definitely. And to everybody, I guess, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Paul. Let's talk again soon. Have you on the show again here in the near future. Probably see you at the next Kraken game, which, by the way, is December 28th as they go into a little bit of a break here. But yeah, the next one out at Climate Pledge Arena, December 28th against the Calgary Flames. Hopefully we'll see you out there. I'm going to be there, I think, for that one. I'm not sure yet, but if I'm not at that one, I'll be at one in the not too far out there in the future. So thanks again, Paul. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Great. Go Kraken and go Firebirds. Take care. All right.
Just wanted to extend my thanks again to everybody watching or listening. I do appreciate the support. Can't wait to keep covering the Seattle Kraken here going into the future and have some additional live streams and episodes coming at you here. So make sure you're tuned in, subscribe, turn on alerts, all that great stuff. I do appreciate all the support. And once again, happy holidays to everybody out there. And I hope you have a happy new year. We'll talk to you real soon right here at Sasquatch NHL.